Mastermind. And let's get this party started up. Mr. Steven Diaz, anything you want to share before we kick off today with this objection handling 101?
No, just one thing, and it's a little off subject, but yeah, next week's event, I'm
Yes.
super excited for that. Like, we just got off a call, guys. Palmdale, Lancaster. It's gonna be crazy. So I hope to see everyone there. Just the energy's crazy, guys. Let's go.
Yes. And I will be sharing a slide on how everybody can get registered as well. So without further ado, let's get started up. It is 10:05, Objection Handling 101. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen. Thank you guys for, okay, cool. We got 2, 3, 4 thumbs up. Awesome. So remember to bring your full attention and awareness to the Zoom. Be fully present, eliminate distractions, focus and stay with the conversations, engage and drop insights. And understand that how you do anything is how you do everything. So the conversation today is objection handling 101. So I want you guys to start thinking about the objections that you guys are dealing with, whether it be buyers, sellers, agent attraction, anything you guys are dealing with. And I want you guys to start to formulate and think about those things where you guys normally get stuck in the conversation. We are going to have an open dialogue and open discussion so we can role play these live on this call. I know there's a couple of people that are eager to throw those objections at me, which I'm excited to handle. So let's actually define the first thing, the first step, guys. I want us to actually define what is an objection. So just drop it into the chat. Like, what is an objection? Like, what is an objection? What does that mean to you? What does an objection mean? Right? I actually defined it. So don't worry if you don't get it, but I have defined it. But do you guys have any ideas that you guys want to post on the chat? I want us to engage. I want us to participate. Just don't be a listen. I don't want you guys just to sit here and listen. So it's a tough conversation. I need more information. Jose Ojeda, ding, ding, ding. Unanswered question. That is the correct answer, guys. It's a question you don't have the answer for. That's how I want you guys to look at objections. Okay? Because a lot of the times, I used to look, like Beck said, it's a tough conversation, right? But energetically, if you hear an objection and you have an emotional connection to an objection as a tough conversation, guess what's going to happen? You're stepping into it with the intention, the mindset that it's a tough conversation, right? And iPhone, I don't know who you are, but you said, I need more information. That's also a correct answer. I need more information. Unanswered question is basically what I got when as an objection, because that's really what it is. It's just a question that you don't have an answer for just yet. So thank you guys for another tip for objection is not to tie any emotion into it. Yep, absolutely. Yes. And that is the difficult part, by the way, right? When we get a question that somebody throws at us, we make it personal, we take it personal, and then we end up getting off track. But if you really keep your focus on, I am here to deliver a service, I am here to make a difference, I am here to provide massive amount of value, and you could remove yourself from the equation, you could just be a space for the right answers to show up that are best for that customer that is right in front of you. So first thing is, how do you prevent objections, right? Like, I think that would even be better than even handling the objection. How do you actually prevent them? So the first thing you got to do is to really prepare yourself and actually understand the mindset of the buyer, the seller that is right in front of you. That way you can actually mitigate 99.99% of every single objection you may get. As you start to get more knowledge and more awareness and more experience, and you start to talking to more buyers and sellers, you will understand that over time, most of the questions that they have are actually the same for everybody. And that's some of the things that I realized, this is my 19th year doing this, but when I started, I felt like they had thousands of questions, but when it really boiled it down, it really was about 15 to 20 questions. So how you prevent these objections is you start to actually cater your conversation, you start to cater your presentation, and you start to address these questions ahead of them actually asking them. That is step number one, because the thing is that a lot of the times you're not sharing enough value in your dialogue, in your presentation, in that initial dialogue with the customer. So you leave so many spaces for them to actually give you objections. So the first thing before we even handle objections is prevent objections by actually setting the stage, setting the mood ahead of the game. So one of the things that I do really well, guys, and how you can actually prevent objections is that when you're sharing your story, right, with your buyer, when you're sharing your story with your seller, your story should actually be an objection handler altogether. You see, if you guys have been in any calls with me, I address and I give my story about myself, my background, and I'm talking about my experience and what I've done and what I've done for other people. And most of the time, I'm addressing that story, but it's catered directly to what I know that they're going to ask me. And you start to fine tune your story over time. So it's not going to be that you're going to get it right off the jump. Like, you're not going to be like massively like, enrolling the first time. But I want you to start to pay attention to the story that you're telling when you're meeting with the buyer, the story that you're telling whether you're meeting with a seller or any customer for that matter. You want to really pay attention to that. And this is another big nugget I want you guys to pay attention about objection handlers, right? And how to prevent objection handlers. He or she who asks the questions leads the conversation. He or she who asks the questions leads the conversation. So again, if you do a great job of articulating your story, if you do a great job of articulating who you are, then the next thing you want to do to take control of the conversation is ask questions. Because if you are not asking questions, then that customer is going to have a lot of questions, trust me. But if you start to start to ask them questions, and the main thing you really want to do, guys, to prevent a lot of the objections and to really build rapport is understand the customer's why. Why is it that they want to buy? Why is it that they want to sell? Why is it important for them to get there? What's the time frame? How soon do they want to be there? What obstacles do they have in place that you can create a solution for? What are their concerns, right? Figure out their time frame. So you want to get really good at asking questions. That way you can, again, mitigate and prevent the objections. Great questions that you can ask a buyer, obviously, are, what's your, again, time frame? What is your time frame of buying this property? Why, what is the area that you're going to? What are your monthly payments that you're focused on? Like, what do you feel comfortable with, right? So you want to get all of those key nuggets in place. For a seller, by the way, we think that a seller, cares about the value of their home. And yes, they care about the value of their home. But the most important thing about the seller is where they're going to next. So if you make your presentation all about you and how you're going to sell it and how you're the best agent in town and how you have so many reviews, and you miss their why on why they're going and where they're going and why they're doing this, you just miss 90% of your leverage in the conversation. So you need to get that leverage in the conversation by asking and creating those questions for you in that conversation. So that's the next point that I want you guys to remember. Now, I also want you guys to remember this. This is a brain tattoo. I want you guys to remember this because you can get in and out of any objection by remembering this. And I want you guys to write this down. Acknowledge and pivot. Acknowledge and pivot. Acknowledge and pivot. No matter what the question is, no matter what the objection is, you can always acknowledge it and you can always pivot. So if I get a question from a buyer and they say, hey, Leo, what is the age of the roof, right? And let's just say I've never met this customer. I don't know about this property. In that conversation, I'm not going to even know how to answer that question. But what I will do is that I will acknowledge it and I will pivot. You know what, sir? That is a great question about the roof. I'm going to go ahead and address that when we meet today at 3 o'clock. Does that still work for you? So you're going to acknowledge the question, right? And they could say, you know what? How's the school district? Again, if you don't know the school district information, you know what, sir or ma'am, that's a great question. I will make sure that I address that question when we meet today at 3 o'clock. Does that still work for you? So again, I'm going to acknowledge and I'm going to go ahead and pivot. If I get somebody that is asking me a lot of questions, what I'll usually will do is that I will stop and capture the rest of the conversation. So if they say something like, you know what? I have a question about the roof. Okay, great. Sounds good. I'm going to make sure that I address that question when we meet today. By the way, Mr. Customer, Miss Customer, is there any other questions that are very important about the property for you? You know what? I want to know this, 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 and this. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So you want to know that. And you also want to know about the roof. What else is important? You know what? I want to know about the backyard. I want to know if I could build a pool in the backyard. Oh, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. Okay, so you want to know if you want to build a pool. Great. Okay, so I got these 3 questions for you. Is there anything else that is extremely important about this property that you want to know about? You know what? I want to know, what the tax rate is. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So you want to know the tax rate. Fantastic. So I'm going to make sure I document all of this for you. And I'm going to make sure that I address all of these questions when we meet today at the property at 3 o'clock. So what did I do there? You got to get really good at answering questions without answering questions. Because I didn't answer the question. So did you guys get that? I didn't answer the question. So that's how you can get away from an objection very easily, by addressing, acknowledging, and pivoting. And again, one of the things that you want to develop a skill at is getting really good at answering questions without answering questions. I know it's counterintuitive because we want to answer all the questions. We want to make sure that we're experts and we're yada, 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 we're all this stuff. But a lot of the times you're getting in your own way because, again, what customers are looking for is for you to be authentic and for you to be real. If you guys start to make stuff up and if you start to stutter and stumble in the conversation, what is that customer going to feel? You know what? I don't know if I could trust this person. I don't know if I want to work with this person. I don't know if I'm questioning. Maybe I should call another realtor. Maybe this person doesn't understand me. But if I did a great job of acknowledging and pivoting in that conversation and got through the main objective, then that customer will, I won't like throw off their little, like, I look at it like a security system in a way, right? Like they start to sound the alarms. They're like, wait, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And again, if you're honest and you answer it with confidence, people will trust you and they will meet with you. So this is another really important part, guys. You can like literally lose deals. And this is a big one, by the way. You could lose deals just by the way that your tone and confidence is in the conversation. You could lose deals all day. So the one thing that you really got to do is check yourself before you enter into a conversation, before you enter into a presentation, and really fine tune your tone, your tonality. Your voice is an instrument, and you have to be willing to really focus on that instrument and fine tune it. That way, when you're having a conversation, again, people can understand that you care, you're listening, and you also sound confident. If I were to present today and I sounded like, hey guys, welcome to my call today. I'm going to be answering, I think I'm going to be answering some objections. Like, you guys probably wouldn't trust me. You guys were like, what's up with Leo? Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, you subconsciously start to think about and doubt the person just literally by their tone. Also, confidence, guys. Like, when you guys are stepping into a conversation, if your energy is not right, if you're not sitting back, right? And I recommend, this is another hack, by the way. When you're having a presentation conversation, make sure that you're standing up. I do my best to stand up in every single time I have a conversation. If you're sitting down in the conversation and I'm standing up, I will be the most enrolling because I just have more energy to give because I'm standing up. Also, pay attention to your shoulders. Pay attention to your shoulders, right? How are your shoulders? Are you hunched over like this? Right? Because if you're hunched over like this, and again, your tone is like this, and you're a little like, everything is connected. So I want you guys to pay attention to your posture. I want you to pay attention to your tone. And what starts to happen, guys, and I want you guys to pay attention to this, it's not just about our mindset that makes the biggest difference in the conversation when you're handling objections. It's how you feel that makes the most difference. So a lot of you are paying attention to like your mindset. Like, yeah, I'm positive. I'm excited. I'm motivated. I'm going to make this happen. But inside, you feel sad, depressed, like you feel like unsure. So you got to check your feelings as well when you're having this conversation, because if you enter the conversation with that kind of emotional state, that customer is going to reflect back like a mirror your emotional state. If you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you're upset, guess what that customer is going to do? They're going to get angry. They're going to get upset. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to push your buttons, right? If they know they can mess with you, they're going to mess with you and they're going to keep taking hits at you. So it's very important. I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on that. I already talked about this, understanding the motivation, but this is literally the most important thing in the conversation, understanding their motivation, because if you understand their motivation, I always pivot back to it. When I follow up with the buyer, when I follow up with the seller, right? Because I get this question a lot of times. You guys have no idea how many times on a monthly basis I get, how do I follow up with somebody? Well, how do you follow up with somebody? You got to understand their motivation. If you understand their motivation, when you follow up with them, your conversation will be catered to their motivation. It's not about you. It's about the customer's needs. What does that customer need? What do they want to do? How soon do you want to be there? And I said this already, your energy will determine your outcome. Your energy will determine your outcome. So really pay attention to the energy in the conversation, because if I pick up the phone and I'm in a low energy state, I already know that the conversation is probably going to go south. I know that if I get into a conversation and my energy is high, I'm most likely going to be enrolling. I'm most likely going to be more confident, and I'm most likely going to win. He or she who is the most confident in any conversation will win.
Leo.
So, yeah, go ahead, brother.
Hey, what are some tips like going into an appointment to get your energy up, to get your your confidence up? What do you suggest to everyone before they go?
Red Bulls. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Red Bulls, Celsius, coffee. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody always asks me, like, dude, how do you have your energy like this? Well, number one, even before you get to the appointment, thank you for asking that question, Steve. Even before you get to the appointment, how is your morning starting? How is your day starting? Because my day starts way before I talk to anybody. And Limani will tell you this. I think she's on this call. I make it a point not to talk to anybody. Like, I don't like to talk to anybody before 7:30 in the morning. Like, everything before 7:30 in the morning is my time. So you want to really bulletproof your mindset and bulletproof your energy by doing things that are going to energize you. So it's different for all of us, right? For me, I like to go on walks. I like working out. I like doing meditation. I like going on hikes. Like, those are the kind of things that energize me. So what you want to do is start off your day by doing a morning habit of some sort that is going to get you in the right state of mind. Because if you enter your day, like, trust me, guys, I've been doing this for 19 years. When I started, I used to roll out of bed and kind of like, oh my God, here's another day. I got to go out and talk to people, yada, yada, yada. I would show up to the office and guess what? My energy was low. My energy sucked. And then I would make some calls and then my results sucked. So you got to prepare the morning of, even the night before, and you got to understand also what you're going to be doing the day of, right? My morning and my day starts a day ahead. That's another thing. If you want to elevate your energy, you have to have a calendar of success already planned out before you go to bed. Because there's something beautiful that happens right before you. If you go to bed and you have like this whole goal to make it a magnificent day the next day, your energy going to sleep is going to be different. Your energy waking up is going to be different. And if you go and do your walk, do your meditation, do some affirmations, right? You do all of these things, your energy will be right. So those are the kind of things that I do in the morning that get me elevated. And trust me, I'm not perfect at it. I don't do it perfectly, but I do my best to get my energy right. So one of the things that you guys, have seen me do on Mondays is the breath exercises. I also sometimes, when I know that I had a difficult conversation and I had a difficult objection and I got a couple of left hooks and right hooks, I take a moment, I take a breather, I inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I take a couple of deep breaths. I get my energy centered again, and then I go back on the phone. I am telling you guys, if you can master your energy, your results you will experience quantum leaps in your business. So that's what I would say for energy. So
can I chime in a little bit here on that?
Of course, Ms. Rosie, go for it.
Awesome. So I love everything that you're sharing, Leo. Of course, you're always on point. And I just challenge you to kind of ask yourself that question, like, what is the one thing that is going to set you up to win for the day? right? Like blocking out the social media, the conversations, like the to-do list, the emails, none of that's really going to set you up to win. Like what's going to set you up to win? For some people, it's exercise. For me, it's exercise. I need to get physical. I need to get moving. From some people, it could be meditation. It could be prayer. It could be connection. Like, are you connecting with with your spouse or your significant other or your children, and like filling your cup? You have to start off with a full cup. And for some people, it's all of that. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to pray. And I'm going to have my connection. You take care of that, you've had a full day, right? You're set up to win. And then you could go in with, prepared with that energy, with that spirit, with like everything you need to really go out and contribute. But if you start off with an empty cup, that empty cup being, oh my God, I have this problem. Oh my God, I got this email. Oh my God, this deal is falling apart. You're already starting off at a deficit. So make you a priority, make that time a priority. You have to be like bulletproof, like Leo says, bulletproof in the morning to go out and be the best version of you, not just for your clients, but also for your family and for everybody else you interact with. So think about that one thing that's going to make that happen for you, and then commit to that. Like, no shit, no kidding. This is like a non-negotiable. I'm going to do this every morning, 10 minutes of prayer, 30 minutes of exercise, whatever it is. There's no excuse. You can definitely fit that into your schedule at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I just wanted to kind of contribute that part.
I appreciate you, Ms. Rosie. Thank you so much for chiming in and sharing that. And it's actually right in alignment with what I wrote this morning as I was going through my meditation. And I wrote this down at it was at 6:53 a.m. I wrote it down as I came out of my meditation. I wrote, I am first. No matter what is happening, I honor myself, my emotions, and my well-being. Everything and everyone else comes second. Because I know that if I nurture me above everything else, I can be the greatest for everyone else. But if I am not being great with myself, I can't, I mean, I'm going to be pouring out of an empty cup. So whatever you guys choose to do in the morning, there's no right or wrong, right? You could take some bits and ideas of what I'm saying. There's plenty of information out there on what you could do as far as a morning routine. But a morning routine has completely shifted everything for me. And again, sometimes I don't have all the time to do the meditation and everything else, but you got to take the time a little bit for yourself, because if you don't do that, you're going to be reactive. You want to be proactive. You want to be ahead of the day. You want to be ahead of the game. You feel ahead of the game when you are doing things in the morning. So Amanda just posted a book, which I absolutely love this book, with Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning. That is a powerful book, actually. Thank you so much for sharing that, Amanda. But that is probably by far one of the most powerful books on morning routines. So if you guys want to really develop yourselves a morning routine that's really powerful, Miracle Morning, I highly recommend that. So before we get into the live role play, because I know everybody's chomping at the bit, like everybody wants to go at it. Let's get it, right? So I want you guys to remember this. You guys are 15 objections away from making $1 million in real estate. 15 objections. That's it. Your job is to understand what the answers are for those 15 objections, those 15 questions. If you can master those questions and you can master how you deliver the answers, you will be unstoppable in any conversation. There will be nothing that you can't do, because you will be confident when people are asking you the question. So I actually have a list of objections, but I'm not going to get into those until we do a live, like I want to do an open dialogue and an open role play. But before we get to that, use AI, guys. You can literally say, what are the top 15 objections to represent buyers? And give me the responses. You can literally say that on AI, and it'll give you the questions and it'll give you the responses. You can also say, what are the top 15 objections that I'm going to get with the seller? Give me the objections and give me the responses. You put that together, in about 3 minutes, you will have the answers to both 15 questions on buyers and sellers. And that goes for anything. So make sure that you utilize AI, and I can hop in and do that. But I want to open it up for a dialogue. I wanted to open it up for you guys, right? There's about 55 of us that are in the Zoom right now. And I want to know what kind of objections you guys are dealing with. And let's go for it. Like, let's actually put it to work right now. I know that You guys are at the edge of the seat, Miss Rosie and Steve. They're right there. Like, let's.
Yeah, don't be shy, guys. I know you guys aren't going to perfect appointments out there. I know you guys are dealing with objections on the
I
daily
think,
basis, right?
I think everybody in here is like, it's just a master of objections, and they're like, nah, we got this, right?
No, I love this, Leo. Like, like I said, when we go to appointments, I feel like they already have their objections ready to go before we even get there, right? And thinking ahead and practices like this are going to help us, address those right off the bat. They're going to be like, dang, where do I sign?
Sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So open up your, raise your electronic hand or unmute yourself or put it on the chat. What are objections that you guys are actually dealing with right now that you're like, I wonder how I can answer this question?
So I'll go. I have a buyer. He reached out to me. He's a friend, a brother of a client of a family that I work with. And he was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I sent him the link for the application because I usually do buyer consultations in person, but I already know them. So I just sent him the link. I was like, hey, here's the link to the application. Just apply. And then he didn't apply it because I get notifications if he did, and I didn't get one. So I was like, hey, just following up, like, what's going on? Like, do you need any assistance with the application? He's like, no, I think I'm just gonna wait because I'm gonna pay off some credit cards and some debt. And I was like, oh, no worries about that. I was like, but I said, I think you should apply. We do a soft pull and we have a credit simulator. So I want to make sure you're paying the right debt and the right credit cards. That way it can fit your profile to get you pre-approved. He's like, oh, you can tell me which ones to like pay and which ones not to. I was like, yeah, we have a credit simulator that does that for us. He was like, okay. And then he just started the application a little bit ago. So
I love it. I love
always
it.
have a solution to their problem.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So it looks like you already have the solution, which is fantastic. And you know what? The only thing I would advise, right? A lot of the times when we do get those kind of referrals, because we already have like the rapport, right? Because they're being sent to somebody that already likes us, knows, and trusts us. We skip that little step in the beginning, right? So somebody can get into their ear within the next like 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes. And then you get a response like you got, like, wait a minute, I think I'm just going to pay off some debt. Because you probably talked to Joe at the office, right? So it's very important that we get ahead of it and then we pretend like every single person, like we got to sit with them, have a dialogue, find out what their why is, find out where they want to be, and then basically set up an appointment so we can start that process so we can take control of the narrative from the beginning.
Leo,
Good.
one thing I wanted to mention, guys, is like, we're all part of group chats. We're part of the Let's Grow community. We have a lot of, partners. So don't be shy to like reach out and get opinions on these objections, right? Don't just try to maybe take it on your own. Get two opinions, reach out to two of your partners and see how they're handling these type of objections so you have options.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
One thing that I'll notice also about Amanda is that you had knowledge. You knew that there was a solution, right? And so part of building confidence is preparation. If you know your product, if you know right now, if you know what's going on with the market, if you know how the interest rates impact the client, how the new contracts impact, the client in terms of solutions. If you have that knowledge, if you've prepared yourself, you are more confident. So how much time are you spending educating yourself to earn that $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 commission, right?
Yeah,
Because it's not just the script, guys. It's the knowledge behind it. Make sure you have time for the knowledge and then time to practice delivering that knowledge. That's what's handling the objection, of course, with the energy and everything that we're talking about. But if you want to be confident, know what you're talking about. Practice.
100%. 100%. Knowing your stuff is the key to confidence. 100%. All right, guys. So let's throw in some objections. Like, where are you guys dealing with? I want to get on the court, real stuff that you guys are dealing with in a conversation where you might have been stuck, where you maybe didn't cause a breakthrough. Or am I talking to a group of experts that already got it all handled? Like, what is something you dealt with recently on the court?
I'm gonna throw something at you, just because I love this game. Right? This is a game. Leo. You're asking me if I want to time to buy a house. I heard that the rates are going to go down even lower. I think I'm just gonna wait until we get closer to the election.
Yeah. No, I get it, Miss Rosie. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I totally agree with you. Interest rates are changing constantly, but I will ask, what is your target monthly rate that you're looking for? All right, so I'm gonna go back to the target rate. So what is the target monthly payment?
I mean, gosh, I should have bought when they were like 3.5%, maybe they won't get there, but I think they're still going to get lower. I read all the stuff online and I'm pretty sure they're going to go down a couple more times. So I think it'd be smart for me to wait.
Right. No, I totally agree. So, and you're saying, just so I'm clear, I want to make sure that I get this. What is the monthly payment that you're looking for? Just so I'm clear.
Well, when I looked at it a few years ago, my payment was going to be $4,500 a month.
Okay, so $4,500 a month. Okay, cool. And then also, can you share with me really quick, what areas are you looking in?
I was looking in Long Beach and Torrance.
Long Beach and Torrance. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So you're looking at $4,500 a month, Long Beach and Torrance. Perfect. So if I were to get you a property right now in Long Beach and Torrance, and I can get you, to that target rate of $4,500 a month, would that be, wise for us to meet together and go over the documentation? And what I will tell you is that in the pre-approval process, what we're going to go through is actually discuss all of the details about buying and also getting you prepared, because I think that the buying process really, really starts way ahead when you're actually ready to pull the trigger. So what I want to do is actually set up a time for us to discuss, the key steps that are going to take for you to become a homeowner. And I'm also going to show you some of these properties that I can help you to get in Long Beach and Torrance that can get you your goal of $4,500 a month. Does that sound fair?
Well, I mean, that sounds good, but I mean, what's the interest rate going to be?
Well, the interest rate is, I mean, I can't control that, right? The interest rates, it is what it is. But what I will say, and as a lot of people say this, is that you have to marry the house and date the rate, right? I think that's going to be one of the most important things. And I have personal experience with this. My brother recently actually bought about a year ago, and I told him the same thing. And he actually ended up getting an interest rate above 7%. So pretty high interest rate. Recently, we actually just refinanced him, and he was able to drop his rate under 5% and also remove his AMI. So he's saving $2,000 a month right now. So what I will tell you and encourage you to do is not really necessarily pay attention to the interest rate, but also pay attention to how soon you can get into a property, because what will happen when the interest rates drop? Let's just say they drop to 5.5%, 5%. The intensity of the marketplace is going to go up. I really believe that we're going to get back to 2020 where we're going to have to pay $100,000 over asking price. I'd rather get you into a property now, secure a great home with a great price, and then when the interest rates modify, we can easily do a refinance to drop your payments.
Oh, okay. So if I buy the house now, then if the rates drop in November, I can get a lower rate and payment?
Exactly. That would be the case. And I think that's just one of the, obviously one of the subject matters that I think is important about the buying process. There's actually a lot of other things that I think are very, very important about the buying process as well. So what I would like to do is set up that buyer consultation so we can go over all the logistics, so we can get really clear on your goal. And again, regardless of where you're at the end of the conversation, my whole intention is to add a lot of value.
Okay, well, I mean, if I'm not ready, you're not going to make me buy anything, right?
Of course not. I'm not going to make you do anything, my friend. I'm going to share with you a lot of information, and I just want an opportunity to be of service. So does 3 o'clock still work for you today?
Yes, 3 o'clock is fine. Love that opportunity to be of service, Leo. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, I'm ready, Leo. I'm ready.
All right, bro. Come on now. Bring it.
All right. Listing appointment. I'm selling my property and you're the agent.
So you're selling. I'm the agent. I'm already at your house. This is a listing appointment that we're already set up. So I'm showing up to your house.
Yeah. So Leo, what's your commission?
My commission is actually 100% negotiable. One of the great things that just actually happened, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there was a recent changes with NAR, and commissions were a little bit different in the past. So what I have is a menu of commissions that I will discuss with you that are going to be most aligned to you and your goals. Steve, just so I'm clear, I want to make sure, obviously, besides the commission question, what are other questions that you also have that are very important for you?
We'll get to those, but the commission is probably really important to me.
Yeah, so what I charge is 4% for listing your property. and also the buyer's commission will be offered if you choose to, and that'll be 100% negotiable as well. So one of the things that I'm actually telling a lot of my sellers right now is that we will position your property, we will do our best to market it and get the highest offer. When the buyer comes in and makes their offer, they're also going to put in writing what they're asking for as far as compensation. So that's basically how the commission works. So besides the commission rate, what are other things that are very, very important for you?
Well, back to the commission. I know you said 4%. Steven, the rapping realtor, said he'll do it for 2%.
He'll do it for 2%. Wow, that's amazing. You know, I heard a lot of great things about that guy, by the way. One of the things I will tell you is that every single real estate professional works slightly different and they bring slightly different value. So what I want to do is actually show you what I do differently to help you to sell your property, where I will tell you that the 4% that I am charging you will actually become irrelevant once I'm actually able to help you to accomplish your goal.
Got it. And so you're saying I don't have to pay the buyer side at all, right? Because of the new law?
Well, you don't have to pay for it. I highly recommend it just because a lot of the buyers out there, unfortunately, are not going to have the money to pay for their closing costs. But the good news is that it is negotiable. So what we're going to do is position your property, market it, have your target goal in place. When we receive the offer, if they make a great offer, then at that point you could decide to compensate them. Or let's just say they try to lowball you and they try to go under asking price. At that point, we have the opportunity to negotiate their commission rate.
Awesome. I really okay. That sounds like a plan. Can you do a little rap for me?
Can you do something for me? Can you?
No, that was good, Leo. Those are the couple, yeah, that I run
Okay,
into.
cool. Again, but one of the things I want you guys to get, right? Look, acknowledge and pivot, right? What did I say in the beginning of this presentation? Acknowledge and pivot. Acknowledge and pivot.
Yeah,
That's what you want
yeah.
to do.
I kept talking about commission, and you were asking like, is there any other questions, like that you have as far as the selling process? So you kept switching. I mean, I would bring you back, but yeah, I like how you did that. Hey,
Yes.
in the chat, there's no objections, guys. Come on. I know you have
Yeah.
some objections. What's up?
Well, the thing that you said right there, Steve, it's like, what I want you guys to get about objections is this too. If you make the objection big, it's going to be big. If you reduce the significance of the objection, the question, if you reduce it to become something so insignificant, then the customer is going to start to think about like, wait a minute, it's not even that significant. But if you make it so big and you make it so significant and you spend all of this time, now you're getting into what? Now you're selling them. And answer that question for me, guys. Do you guys like to be sold? Does any one of you like to be sold? Nobody likes to be sold. Nobody likes to be sold. Nobody likes to be, so when you get into that, you're kind of getting into a slug match. So you want to acknowledge it and you want to pivot it. Make it a small deal and it'll be a small deal. If you make it a big deal, it'll be a big deal.
I got some more, Leo.
Let's
keep it going. Let's keep it going. So I'm still listing my property. It needs a lot of work, as you can see, Mr. Robles. The Zillow's estimate is 589,000. So I want to list it for like 600.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I could, you know what? Thank you for sharing. And, I was going to let you know, I mean, your property does have a little bit of deferred maintenance. And I know you want to target, a target price of 600,000. Just so I'm clear, because I haven't got this yet, where is it that you're going after you sell the property?
Moving to Vegas.
You're moving to Vegas. Okay, perfect. And Vegas, do you already have a price point in mind of what you're buying out there? Do you already have a property? Are you going to need help with that as well?
Yeah, I haven't given that much thought. I just want to see if I can get that 600K.
Okay, perfect. And just so I know, the $600,000, your target on that, is that because is this just a decision that you have in mind, or is it a certain amount of money that you want to generate at the sale of the house?
Yeah, my dad told me that I could probably get 600K for it, and he has like 3 houses, so I really trust him.
Perfect. Yeah. No, and I know that dad's my dad is also very wise in the real estate market, so I can understand how you could listen to him and he can tell you a lot of really good information. But what I want to do is that I actually want to go over the pricing strategy that I have in place. And I also want to show you the recent sales and also go over the most important thing, which is your net. What are you actually going to walk away when you sell this property? Because I think that if you and I can get on the same page and what you want to generate as far as revenue from this sale and what you're going to buy and what your target is, then we can both be on the same page.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good. I'm gonna put it all on black and double it when I
All
get
right,
to
perfect. Yes. And put it on red for me. So what you want to do again is acknowledge and pivot and don't get into a slug match. Don't tell them that they're wrong. Don't tell them that they're incorrect for thinking about that, right? And they're going to have all these opinions and perspectives about their pricing strategy. So that's a great one. All right. What else?
One thing I mentioned is that I'm observing here, Leo, is that you keep going back to their motivation, back to like, why are they asking the question? You know, like, oh, well, you know, because I need that 600. Okay, well, tell me more about that, right? So listening is so important. We don't talk about it a lot with objection handling, but listen to what they're saying, because if you're not picking up on those cues, you're missing the opportunity to walk in the door. So,
yes.
Yeah,
great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Rosie. I like to call them like smoke screens, right? Whatever they're saying is like a smoke screen. But if you walk through the smoke screen, you're going to get to the reality of what they're actually asking and what they're actually saying. Again, nobody wants to be sold. Nobody wants to be taken advantage of. Everybody wants to get the most amount of money. Everybody thinks that their house is extremely special. Everybody thinks they freaking love the floors that they installed, that they're not probably the best. Like all of those things are super important for them, but you got to be willing to walk past the screens. That way you can get to the reality of their objection or their goal, because that's what you're really there to do as a professional, is that you're there to facilitate the process to help them to get to where they want to get to.
Hey,
All right.
Leo.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, my man? Hey, you know, when you're ARPing people, which is what you've been doing, it's called, you know, approve, repeat, and then pivot. First, you obviously agree with them, and then you're repeating, obviously, of the objection. And then when you pivot to the objection, sometimes people don't really understand the pivot. Maybe we can go into a little bit more about that, but pivoting isn't changing the topic or, you know, sending them somewhere else. It's maybe just redirecting it to what they're really feeling or thinking. So, for example, like, you know, the commission, you know, you approved. Yeah, I totally understand. You repeated, like, you know, the rapping realtor is going to do it for 1%. He'll just like put you on his next album. And, you know, when you pivot, it's like, so it sounds to me like netting the most money is important to you.
Yes.
You know, and let's talk about netting the most money, you know, or tie them down with like, isn't that correct? So pivoting necessarily isn't like changing the topic. It's just really digging deeper on what their real motivation is.
Yep.
So, you know, you can kind of play with that a lot.
Yes, sir. I love that. I love that, Rob. Yes, sir. Absolutely. You acknowledge it and you get to the core of what they're looking for. Thank you so much for chiming in and sharing that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So some of them I've gotten in the past was, you know, you're not the neighborhood realtor.
Oh.
I think I want to list with the neighborhood realtor because they've been in this neighborhood for the last 30 years.
Right.
And I said, no, I totally understand. Right. I mean, you guys want to list with somebody who's been in the neighborhood a long time, really knows your neighborhood. That's important to you. Right. And they're like, yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Who's lived in this neighborhood the longest? Oh, well, Bob down the street, he's an original owner. He's been here for 60 years. Like, oh my gosh, why don't you hire him to sell your house?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody knows the neighborhood like Bob.
Yep.
Right. So is it about knowing the neighborhood, or is it more about driving the most traffic to your house and getting the most eyeballs on it so that we can get the most offers to get you the most money? Because at the end of the day, you do want the most money, or would you rather have a tour guide of your neighborhood?
Right. Exactly.
There you
Very
go.
well said. Very well said. Yeah. The neighborhood expert one, guys, like it's a, you know, one of the things I always say, like, you know what, in addition to me being a neighborhood expert and an area expert, I'm also a global expert. So one of the benefits that I've had with our company is that we're not just catering to the customers that are living here in this neighborhood. We're actually going way up around and way beyond just your local area. So again, you can acknowledge it and then you can pivot to your marketing strategy and show them what you're going to be able to do. But again, you have to answer that with confidence, right? If like what happens most of the time, guys, with objections is that you answer it and you stop and you get stuck. And then people start to take hits more hits at you. But that's why you have to have the next question like locked and loaded to move the conversation forward to your objective. Again, if you don't make it a big deal about this neighborhood thing, you can move it forward and keep getting to your objective.
Hey, Leo,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me? Sorry, I got my
Yes,
headset
sir.
on.
Hi, Pablo.
Hello, that was a good one. Just because I've had that. I live in the Riverside County, and if I go to Baldwin Park or West Covina, I've had that one, and I've used the same pivot. The other thing too that I point out that's pretty good and it's helped me is mentioning and kind of just elaborating a little bit on, your ideal buyer isn't going to really come. Let's say I'm selling in West Covina. What makes you think that the buyer's going to be from West Covina? I've had people come from San Francisco who are downsizing, or they sold their little home for $2 million and they want to come down here, buy this home for $800,000. So a lot of times it makes sense if you plan on just having a buyer from your city, but more likely they're going to come from a different city, different town. And you need somebody who's well-rounded, who knows how to work different areas and different types of clientele.
Yes, sir.
So that's helped me out.
Yeah, thank you, Pablo, for adding that to the conversation. We appreciate that. And that's it, guys. Like, you guys have to look at like addressing the question. And again, if you make it a big deal, it is a big deal. So anybody else in here that is sitting here that's like, man, I got stuck in a conversation recently, I don't know how to answer this. I want to hear if there's anybody else with an objection, or if something that was said today caused a breakthrough that maybe you didn't think about in the past.
I have something, Leo.
Hi, Bex. How's it going?
Hi. Good, good. So I work a lot with investors. And right now I am working with an investor that's getting ready to list their home. And they spend a lot of money. They went over budget. So they just want to break even. If that, I ran my analysis and they did so many updates where they could sell it on the higher end. The only thing with that is that we're going to list October 1st. And by November, the first week of November is when their loan is due. So
Wow.
I suggested the auctioneer approach.
Yes.
But one of the questions was like, what if we can't get it to go all the way up to 220 if we list at 190? So I kind of got stuck because it's like, there isn't really evidence where it's like, oh, here's data that, I can present to you where houses actually sold 20-30K above what we listed below market value. So that was one of the kind of like a little pushback on that strategy.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. So one of the things that I would say to that investor is obviously acknowledge the fact that they did a great job of remodeling their property and putting a lot of money into it. Because of the time frame, we do need to price it as aggressively as possible. So the market will bear the greatest offer. So what if we don't get to the target price? Well, that's going to be a decision that you're going to have to make once we cross that path. So what I suggest we do is not waste any more time. I know you have a target date to list it by October 1st. If there's any possibility that we can even list it beforehand, I would encourage us to get it on the market as quickly as possible. One of the positive things that has happened in the marketplace recently is the interest rates have dropped. So that's actually going to work in our favor, which 1% drop in the marketplace will allow 3 to 5 million home buyers to enter the marketplace. So I do think that we have more home buyers that have entered the marketplace. So I think that our timing is slightly better, but we do need to list this property as quickly as possible.
Thank you for that, Leo. Yeah, I think, and it's one of those things that I feel like they're going to get the best offer, right? Like if it's 215, then that's what it's going to sell at, even if we were to wait and then do a price drop.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you, by the way, with the auctioneer process. I think that's probably going to be the best strategy, especially because of the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the luxury of time. So in that scenario, you have to price it aggressively, drop it in the market, do open houses, and again, create urgency for that customer, because what you want to do is secure their equity. If that property doesn't sell, they lose it, or they're going to go into foreclosure. So that's what we don't want them to do.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for your insight. I appreciate you.
Leo, we have another question or objection in the chat. Why should I hire you? I have a friend, family member that is in real estate.
And give me some more context. Is this something you're hearing over the phone or in person at a listing appointment? Just so I'm aware.
It's Stefania.
Yes. Yeah. No, I see it. I see her question. So, Estefania, is this like something you got as an objection over the phone, or is this at an actual listing appointment?
Hi, Leo. I've had this one over the phone.
Over the phone. So you haven't met with them. So what I would say is this. I'm like, you know what, Estefania, thank you so much for asking that question. I understand that you have a great family and friend that is an expert. I would like an opportunity to actually meet with you and share with you what I could do. And if at the end of the conversation, you still decide that you want to work with your family and friend, totally okay. I just want to make sure that you understand fully what I can do to help you to sell your property. Does 5 o'clock still work for you today? That's how I would say it.
Got it.
So,
Thank you.
so what did I do? I acknowledged and I pivoted, right? And I pivoted to my objective, which is the appointment. Because when you're on the phone, guys, don't get into a bicker match. Whatever you have on the phone, it's like you got to get face to face with them as quickly as possible. So you got to acknowledge it briefly and get face to face as quickly as possible, because that's where the real work is going to happen, not on the phone. You got to get face to face with them.
I love that. That was quick and easy. Super quick, super easy. I always like to throw a joke in there because that's who I am. Right. And I would tell them, it's like, no, I totally get it. You have a friend or a family member that's real estate. Because if you didn't have a friend or family member that was a real estate agent, quite frankly, you just don't have any friends or family.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, the average person has two to three people in their family that are real estate professionals, right? So, but we got a couple of more minutes, guys. I want to make sure that you guys know about this book that has made a big difference for me in prospecting and objection handling. This book is called Fanatical Prospecting. So if you haven't read this book by Jeb Blunt, I highly recommend this book. It's amazing. You can get it on Audible. You can read the hard copy, but this is a book that I've read that has made a big difference for my diligence and also objection handler. It has a lot of really great nuggets. It's a great book if you haven't read it. Last thing also that I want to share, like Steve shared with you guys at the beginning of this conversation, we have this live event that we're doing October 3rd, which is next week. It's called AV's Finest Gems to Success. It's a free event. It's out in the city of Palmdale. It's going to be a great event. We already have 110 people that are pre-registered for the event. We are at capacity at 200. So we're about 90 registrations away from actually making it to capacity. So make sure that you guys get registered for that. Scan the QR code right there on the screen. The other thing, another event that we have coming up at the end of the month is the LA Style Magazine Top 100 Real Estate Agents of 2024. I know Ms. Rosie's going to be there. I will be there. A lot of us will be there. So if you haven't got a ticket for this event, this is an opportunity for you to grab a ticket by scanning the QR code right there. Also, just as a last minute reminder, next week, we're going to be talking about teams. So we're going to have 3 top producing teams that are going to be discussing their strategies on how they've been able to build their team. So for those of you that are at the point where you want to build a team, or if you have it as a goal to open up a team in the future, we're going to be dropping a lot of really powerful golden nuggets the following week as well. So that's what I have for you guys today. I just want to say thank you guys for chiming in. These objections actually weren't that difficult, guys. I was like, I thought you guys were going to throw the kitchen sink at me. It was not that bad. But I want you guys to understand.
Yeah, sorry. Steven, are you still going to Miami?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody knows here, but Steven's going to be on the big stage in front of like 10,000 people at the end of the month at EXPCon. So he's one of the featured speakers and performers. So super excited to do that at the end of the month. We also have a yacht exclusive private for our group, and tickets for that are only $75. It's going to be amazing. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that because, you know, it's going to be Steven, so we got to go support.
We got to go support. Yeah, EXPCon, guys. Like, we got to get out there. It's going to be awesome. He's going to be on the main stage. So I hope to see all of you guys there at these events that are coming up. If you guys also, please, if you guys come up with something, an objection, you guys get stuck with something, utilize the chat, reach out. We're here to help every step of the way. Don't get stuck. Don't suffer in silence. Thank you, every single one of you, for spending the time with us today. And I'll see you guys at the next training. God bless each and every single one of you. I'll see you guys later. Let's go.